All right, let's dive into one of the most familiar and maybe one of the most misunderstood passages in the entire New Testament. John chapter 14, verses 1 through 3.
You've almost certainly heard these words before, right? They're read at funerals all the time, and for good reason. They're an incredible source of comfort and hope. But what if that familiar comfort has accidentally been hiding an even more powerful original meaning?
You know the image we all get, Jesus the carpenter up in heaven literally building mansions for us. It's a nice thought, but what if this passage isn't about heavenly real estate at all? What if it's pointing to something way more cosmic, and actually way more immediate?
To really get the promise, we have to first feel the panic. See, these words weren't written for a eulogy thousands of years in the future. They were spoken to a small group of friends in the middle of a full-blown crisis.
Okay, so picture this. It's the night before Jesus dies. He's just dropped a bombshell. He's leaving. And not only that, but one of them is going to betray him, and another is going to deny ever knowing him. Their entire world is just collapsing. And their fear isn't just sadness, it's this deep spiritual terror that they're being left alone, totally cut off from God.
I mean, you have to understand, for these guys, Jesus was their connection to God. So him leaving, that felt like God himself was packing up and leaving town. It was a complete spiritual catastrophe. That is the crisis, and that is the troubled heart Jesus is speaking to.
So now we get to the absolute key phrase in this whole thing, my Father's house. What does that actually mean? Because, well, the answer changes everything.
So, all throughout the Bible, when you see the phrase God's house, it's not talking about a future construction project. It's referring to the command center of the universe, the heavenly reality where God reigns. Think of it like God's throne room, the place where everything happens. It's not something to be built. It already exists.
And this slide, wow, it basically maps out the whole biblical story in 4 steps. We started in Eden, right there with God. Then we got exiled, and that access was gone. The temple in Jerusalem was kind of a patch, a symbolic, limited access pass to God's presence. And now, the explosive claim here is that through Jesus, that direct, unfirewalled access is finally being restored.
Okay, so if Jesus isn't off building celestial condos, what in the world does it mean when he says he's going to prepare a place for us? Well, the preparation isn't architectural, it's relational.
Now this is where it gets really interesting when you put the two ideas side by side. The common view sees a carpenter with a hammer. The original meaning, though, it points to a high priest. He's not building houses for each of us. He's opening a pathway for all of us. The place he's preparing isn't a building. It's our restored access to the very presence of God.
And what about that phrase, many rooms or many dwelling places? You know, the original Greek word here, monai, it's all about permanence and belonging. It's not about the number of spare bedrooms in a giant house. It's about the sheer abundance of the welcome. It means there is a permanent, secure spot for every single person who belongs to God's family, right there in his household.
So here's the real mind-bender. The act of preparation is Jesus' death, his resurrection, and his ascension back to the Father. By going into God's presence as a resurrected human, he establishes a permanent human foothold in the heavenly dwelling for the first time ever, kicking the door open for the rest of us.
And when you see it that way, it just reframes the whole promise, doesn't it? It's not about going somewhere new, it's about finally coming home to where we were always meant to be.
So the ultimate promise of John 14 is the end of humanity's oldest, deepest problem, our exile from the presence of God. It's a declaration that the separation is over, done.
It's not about escaping this world to some new spot. It's about redeemed humanity being welcomed back into the sacred space of God's own life, our true home. And this just totally shifts our focus. We stop thinking about some physical destination that we're headed for one day, and we realize the promise is relational. The gift isn't a what, it's a who. It's communion with Jesus himself.
And this is the knockout punch of the whole passage. The goal isn't a place, it's a person, that where I am, you may be also. And where is he? He's in the Father's house, right in the very presence of God. So salvation really is just sharing that divine space with him.
So maybe this leaves us with a challenging thought to chew on. What if our ultimate hope isn't about escaping to a new location, but it's about the promise of eternal, unfiltered communion with God? It changes everything. After all, it's not about the house, it's about who you share it with.